live on your tablet, phone, and the KUTV app. This is 2 News Live.
It's Monday. Thanks for joining us on 2 News Live. I'm Brian Schnee. Early April, we got a lot to talk about. We're going in depth tonight on the Lori Vallow Daybell trial and flooding preps, specifically today in Salt Lake City. Now, before we dive in, here's a look at what is making headlines tonight. We've talked a little bit about this one. Homeowners near a Fruit Heights mudslide that buried 2 people over the weekend are working to get answers from the city. At least they're trying to get those answers. They're concerned the hillside will come down again, and they want to know what steps are being taken to stop that from happening. Also making headlines, luckily this plane that you see here stayed intact. No one injured after this small plane made an emergency landing because of an engine failure earlier today. The plane came down safely near the West Davis corridor, which is a new freeway under construction. Also making headlines tonight, UHP stepping up enforcement of the state's distracted driving laws. From now until April 17th, that would be in a few days, troopers are teaming up with 22 agencies statewide to crack down on distracted driving. We've been talking a lot about this one. The Utah Avalanche Center warning of high avalanche danger along the Wasatch Front. And really in different parts of the state, if you check out their map, according to the center's current danger ratings, there's a high risk in Logan, Ogden, Salt Lake, and Provo Mountain areas. As we go in depth tonight, make sure you use the hashtag 2NewsLive. You can join the conversation. You can always find me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Send me a direct message there to weigh in. Developing news tonight, a mass shooting kills 4 people inside the One National Bank. This is in downtown Louisville, Kentucky. We brought this to you as a live desk hit at 2 News at 4 o'clock. Police have identified the alleged bank shooter as 23-year-old Connor Sturgeon. He worked at that bank. Police say he used a rifle and live streamed the shooting on social media. The shooter was shot and killed by police. The 4 victims ranging from age 40 to 64. 9 others were injured in this. 3 are currently in critical condition, including a Louisville police officer who was shot in the head. 26-year-old Nicholas Wilp just graduated from the police academy 10 days ago. The motive remains unclear. An investigation into the incident is ongoing. Let's call this one a hard turn. We're going to weather tonight. Meteorologist Chase Thomason is here. This is interesting.
This is Little Cottonwood Canyon. No surprise. However, this is going on now about a week, and it might continue for a few more days. More natural slides, and that's why Little Cottonwood Canyon is completely shut down. So
I spoke with the folks at UDOT, traded some messages just a few minutes ago. These are all natural wet slides. They're just going to kind of wait at this point because they're expecting more and more to come down. It's the reason why they're closed. It's the reason why Big Cottonwood has also been opened and closed and opened and closed. This is about 9 miles up the canyon from the White Pine Trailhead area.
We have 2 different types of avalanches. We have dry avalanches and wet avalanches. So typically all winter long, those type of avalanches are what we call dry avalanches when we have new snow on top of an unstable layer or some wind and you get that trigger and you get a slide. What's happening now, there's no new snow. It's that our temperature, of course, is climbing. We can feel that warm air. That snow begins to melt and it gets that snowpack really heavy, and then you get those wet, heavy slides, especially where we have really steep slopes like Little Cottonwood Canyon.
Be interesting to see what Little Cottonwood looks right now after the last time you or I have probably been up there.
I haven't been there in weeks.
Yes.
And with all these slides, I'm sure there's a lot of trees down and a lot of snow, of course.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how things look here in the coming days. If you're a skier, if you're a rider, you're anxiously checking these cameras. You're sticking with us. You're checking out the folks at UDOT Cottonwoods, and you want to know, when will this road be safe? When can we go still enjoy some powder before the end of the year? Not even really powder at this point.
Yeah, just skiing.
It's snow.
Spring skiing.
Yeah, it's
maybe
more
by
that sticky snow.
End of the week, because we've got a cold front coming our way, which should help with our avalanche danger. So let's get to that forecast. Avalanche warning is out for the mountains and the foothills of northern Utah through tomorrow morning. This might be extended because tomorrow is going to be our warmest day of the year. So even if you're a hiker and you're just going up into those foothills, it's dangerous right now because of this heavy wet snow as the snow begins to really melt. And we're of course seeing that snow melt along the Wasatch Front, so please be safe and avoid the backcountry. Warmest day of the year so far at 76 degrees in Salt Lake City, and it's our warmest day we've had in 5.5 months since late October. It was the first time I was able to sit in my backyard and have lunch. It was very comfortable. Well above normal, though, by about 15 degrees and close to a record of 81. Now, tonight we will be cooling things off. Lows near 50 along the Wasatch Front, 40s in central Utah, 56 tonight in St. George. But look at tomorrow, 89 degrees. We would start to get concerned, not really forecasting major flooding, but the trend will stop because there is a storm coming our way. So this is our last really warm day tomorrow. Lots of 70s in northern and central Utah, and we could get very close to 80 degrees in Salt Lake City. It's this storm system here that's going to put an end to the warm-up. So this high is on its way out, pushing to the east over the next 24 to 48 hours. Still lots of sunshine tomorrow. Few high clouds rolling to northern Utah tomorrow night. Wednesday, partly to mostly cloudy skies. There may be a stray shower or storm Wednesday evening in far northern Utah, but the main event, and this is not a huge storm, will be Thursday morning as this cold front moves in with a few showers, snow in the mountains, and hey, we might even get a couple snowflakes mixing down to the valley floor Thursday morning. But by Thursday afternoon, improving conditions, 1 or 2 hit or miss showers or storms possible, but we'll see a big drop in those temperatures, but they do rebound by the weekend. Now, St. George, you're not going to really get a whole lot out of it. There might be a stray shower to your north on Thursday, but you'll get a lot of wind. So windy and warm next couple days. Temperatures dropping into low to mid 70s Thursday, Friday. But look at the weekend. Nice 70s Saturday, 80s by Sunday. Salt Lake, we're near 80 tomorrow, 73 still warm on Wednesday, but dealing with gusty winds, 20 to 30 miles an hour. A little bit of rain and snow Thursday morning, 50 degrees by the afternoon, so a nice rebound, but it is cooler. Then those temperatures are climbing back into the 50s and 60s as we head into the weekend. Sunday again, another day in the 70s.
St. George area, 89.
Close to 90. Hot.
Yeah, that's warm. I mean, so me getting outside this weekend, I had a hard time adjusting to it, right? Like I've gotten used to the colder temps, and then I walk outside, it's like 55, and I'm like, why am I sweating?
Yeah.
Like, what is going on here?
I mean, it's a huge swing. Remember a week ago, we were talking about this massive storm. Yeah. We were shoveling last week.
Well, you were playing in the snow this weekend. You were you were out snowboarding, and you even mentioned I was sweating.
I was sweating. I knew it was going to be warm. I knew what the forecast was going to be. But you know, every time you're skiing, you're still dressed up in layers, and I only wore one shirt underneath my winter coat, and I was still at the top of the mountain sweating.
T-shirt weather
it's
at this
T-shirt
point.
Skiing
You need
conditions.
the vents here. Like you got to get some vents in this suit jacket there, Chase. Thanks so much. As we continue to track storms, download our 2 News weather app to know about changes in your neighborhood. Get updated forecasts and some live radar right on your phone. Grab your phone right now, scan that QR code. The apps are free and they are easy to download, regardless of what phone you got. As we heard from Chase, temps got into the low 70s in some places today. It's certainly warm enough to melt some of our abundant snowpack. Lincoln Graves live for us tonight along the Jordan River. Lincoln, Salt Lake City officials spoke today. They're pretty optimistic so far, right?
Yeah, they're optimistic, I would say, for the next 5 to 7 days, Brian. They're saying really beyond that, it's still uncertain as to what the temperatures will look like, what the snow melt will look like, the rate at that snowpack, how it will melt. But even with these nice temperatures that we're experiencing right now for the next several days here, they're saying, hey, that's not too bad. This is still melting in a pretty stepped fashion. So they're pretty optimistic about how, I guess, for the next week or so is going. But of course, they are waiting to see how the rest of this spring season goes. They did highlight the fact that certainly everyone is making comparisons to 1983 when we had those historic floods. But they say we have made so many improvements in infrastructure over the past 40 years that even if we do have similar conditions, hopefully we'll be able to handle that flood water or that snowmelt even better than we did before. So, for example, one of the issues back in 1983, a lot of the storm drains in the city, especially with City Creek, got plugged with debris. Well, they've worked on that over the ensuing decades, and hopefully that wouldn't be as much of a problem if we did encounter similar conditions this year as we go through the next several weeks. Brian?
Well, Lincoln, you've been covering flood preps in a number of counties. Salt Lake County today, you were in Weber and Davis counties just last week. What is the overall mindset from residents that live along some of these waterways? Are they taking this seriously? Is this a case-by-case basis? What stands out to you?
Yeah, it's really sort of a wait and see attitude. So today we heard from the Salt Lake City Public Utilities Director who said, look, at this point the highest risk areas would be those near waterways, which is natural. They're not saying those are going to flood, but given what would happen, yes, those are the highest risk areas. So we actually met a couple who just bought a home not too far from the Jordan River. As they started to hear about the possibility of floods this season, they started to get a little worried. They looked at floodplain maps. They found that their home, their property specifically, may not be in danger, but they found that their neighbors and friends are in danger. So it really is just a wait and see attitude as we gear up for these next several weeks to see what happens with this snowpack melting. Brian.
Lincoln Graves live for us tonight. Lincoln, we appreciate you. Thanks so much. Let's head back over to Chase Thomason with us now. Chase, the topic of flooding, something we're going to be talking about, obviously, for weeks. We have talked about for weeks. These temperatures and this sudden drop-off, does this work in our favor here as things kind of cool down and slow up a little bit?
Yeah, this is huge. Now, eventually we're going to be climbing into the 80s, and we're going to have 7 days in a row in the 80s. When that happens, it's still, of course, up in the air. This is what we'd like to see to melt at least the low elevation snowpack. When we have temperatures kind of fluctuating from the 50s and 70s, that's actually perfect. It's when we have 7, 8, 9 days in a row in the 80s and approaching the 90s. Now, we're going to have that at some point, but if we can melt as much as we can without having those flooding issues, that would be great. But of course, those mountain communities, I would be most concerned about those areas. The Ogden Valley, Park City, those areas that have so much snow is going to be seeping into the groundwater as well.
I follow a lot of the community groups on social media. It's where a lot of people share what's going on in their town. And a video that I stumbled across today, I wish I pulled it up for you. Someone was digging through the snow on their top of the roof in a cabin, and it showed what an ice dam really is.
Right.
Water all seeped up underneath that heavy, dense snow just coming through the roof. That's what it seems like most people are dealing with right now, if it's not the basement flooding, right?
Right. I mean, yeah, I mean, they're having those fluctuating temperatures because still at overnight they're getting below freezing, so things are melting and then freezing up. And I think it really depends on the slope of your house. If you have a really steep slope, at least the roof, you're not going to get that ice buildup. It's just going to fall through. But if you get, lower steep, if you will, that ice can really build in through that roof and get those breakages. It breaks your roof, and then all that ice and the water comes through the roof and then it ruins your house.
I was in the Suncrest neighborhood last week. It's in Draper, higher elevation. A lot of folks there have the buildup on their roofs. If you can't do it on your own, reach out to a roofing company. Try to see if they will come out and take care of that for you, because it really could be a game changer weeks, months down the road now. While flooding remains a concern, most of us pretty happy to see some of the sunshine. What do you think the best part of those temperatures hitting 70 again is? What is it for you? No more snowy commutes? Is it the flowers coming up? Is it shorts weather? I was hoping Chase would join me wearing shorts today. We didn't get the memo, so I had to put the pants on. Is it getting out of the house? Well, a lot of you are saying, I've got a little cabin fever. 43% saying getting out of the house. Join our viewer poll right now to weigh in. Well, something else we want to weigh in on with an in-depth conversation. Opening statements today in a historic trial. Lori Vallow Daybell. This is a murder trial that's ongoing in the state of Idaho. Our Daniel Woodruff is live there in Boise. Daniel, you were there for jury placement and looking at kind of what was going to take place and who was going to act as a jury for such a high-profile case. But what new information came to light today?
Well, the jury's been seated. It's 10 men, 8 women. That's 18 people, 12 jurors and 6 alternates. And then they were sworn in today for their official service here at the Ada County Courthouse in Boise, Idaho. After they were sworn in, we heard opening statements. Prosecutors said that this case is all about money, power, and sex. They say Lori Vallow Daybell was motivated by all 3 of those things to try to get all 3 of those things. And they say that she, in the process of trying to achieve her desires, committed these crimes she's accused of, namely killing her 2 children, Tylee Ryan and JJ Vallow, as well as plotting to kill her husband's late wife, Tammy Daybell. New information today was that Tammy Daybell died of asphyxiation. Earlier, the family had said she died of natural causes, but her body was exhumed after all of this came to light. And today it was revealed in court that the Utah medical examiner said that her death was caused by the hands of another, again, the result of asphyxiation. Now, the jury today heard from 2 witnesses in this trial so far. Kay Woodcock, who's the grandmother of J.J. Vallow, one of the children who died, and Brandon Boudreau, who was married for a time to a niece of Lori Vallow Daybell. Both of them testified about the circumstances surrounding the case. There was some emotional testimony as they talked about the children who have died in this case. And the court ended up adjourning just about 3:30 this afternoon, which is their plan going forward every day from about 8:30 till 3:30. That's the judge's decision that he said he's going to carry out court for that amount of time going forward. The trial itself could be up to 8 weeks long, Brian.
Well, Daniel, for those that have followed this trial, Kay Woodcock and Brandon Boudreau are names that probably some people know by now, given media coverage, interviews, conversations. Is there anyone else we're really expecting to hear from in testimony in the coming days, coming weeks, or any larger names in this case that you think will be called?
Well, there are dozens, if not hundreds, of witnesses in this case, but tomorrow we're expecting to hear from Rexburg Police Detective Ray Hermosillo, who is involved in the investigation into finding the bodies of these 2 children in Rexburg, Idaho, and so that's the next one expected, but lots of witnesses are waiting to be called.
Daniel Woodruff live for us tonight in Boise. Daniel, thank you for the tireless coverage already, even though it's day 1. We appreciate you. You can listen to the trial of Lori Vallow Daybell every day on our website, KUTV.com. Opening statements started today. You won't be able to see it or hear it live, however. The judge, in this case, has barred cameras from the courtroom and any live streaming purposes. However, audio will be recorded. Every day, KUTV2 News will post it so you can hear exactly what happened. As soon as the audio is given to us from the courts, we will upload it to our website and our YouTube channel. Tonight on 2 News at 10 o'clock, we're sharing part 1 of a 2 News investigation. There's a trending crime, I definitely won't call it new, that parents need to be aware of, and it involves any way your child gets on the internet. It could be a phone, it could be via video game at first, but real criminals from all over the world are reaching out to your child via the internet in some way. What we're looking into is called sextortion. There are a few different types of this crime. Primarily, this targets males ages 14 to 17, but any child, really anyone, can become a victim. Local and federal law enforcement we spoke with say this crime is on the rise here in Utah again.
It's a matter of hours. So it usually happens overnight. It is not a long-term process. It's something that they're on their computer, they just reached out to somebody, they got a text message, they started engaging in conversation, it turns sexual, they send the photo, and then right there, they're exploited for money.
The other big issue is a lot of times the requests for money will start out small, $25, $50, and a kid thinks that's not a huge price to pay to preserve their privacy. But the requests always grow after that.
I had no idea this was going on. I had never heard of it. Now I hear it more and more. So I think it's super important for parents to have an open relationship with their kids.
Tonight on 2 News at 10, what these criminals are actively doing to target your children. And as a parent, what you can look out for. Now, throughout the week, we'll be sharing more stories on the topic of sextortion, including what a family who's been through this recommends to other parents out there. Be sure to join us. If you have a story for our 2 News Investigates team, we want to hear your ideas. Please use that email address on your screen. It's investigates@KUTV.com. Let's take a look at some of the top trending stories online over on our website, KUTV.com. You just heard Daniel say money, power, and sex in reference to Lori Vallow Daybell. This is the top story on our website right now. If you'd like to see more of Daniel's coverage, please check it out. But trending, a story our Ariel Harrison brought us over the weekend. Family mourning the loss of a husky killed by a cougar in an Ogden backyard. This has got a lot of you talking about this, a lot of you sharing this article off of KUTV.com. Flooding issues in Cottonwood Heights. Crews were responding there as the warm-up began. And then a story that we also covered on KUTV throughout the afternoon today is human remains found in rural Nevada of a 19-year-old who was 19 back in 1990. So do the math here. She was identified using DNA technology as a woman from Salt Lake City. A very interesting article, especially for those of you interested in kind of where cold cases go. This took many years to come to this conclusion. It's right here on our website, KUTV.com. Remember, all of these stories are right here, KUTV.com. You can find us on the mobile app. You can also download that easily, Apple App Store and Google Play. Well, have you seen this thing ever drive through Salt Lake?
I have. I saw a few weeks ago, actually, by Liberty Park.
All right. Well, I guess you can get married in this thing now. I guess that's the big news.
Okay. And the
You looking to renew your vows?
I
Any
am
reason?
not.
Okay.
But, I'm not against it. It probably is kind of like a food truck, too. They give you a hot dog and you get married.
There could be
Why
worse
not?
things out there. So Oscar Mayer says it will host weddings in its first Wienermobile of Love this coming weekend in
Las Vegas.
Yeah, of course it has
There
to be
you
in
go.
Las Vegas, right? The company says couples can book a 30-minute spot online or join the wait list if demand is too high. I bet you for something like this, demand would be too high. They should come with a valid Vegas wedding license.
There's got to be an Elvis.
Yeah, some impersonator will be out there, right? Oscar Mayer says it will foot the on-site bill for you, provide a photographer, even have hot doggers on hand to serve as witnesses.
There you go.
But no mention of food right here. I just want that to be known.
Where's the hot dog?
I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe after it does such a great job in Vegas, they'll drive up I-15 and, head up here to Salt Lake.
I don't know if it's going to work up here, but maybe. You never know.
And we'll have the hot dogs for you.
That's true.
Here in Salt Lake. Thanks for watching 2 News Live. We are here Monday through Friday, 5:30. Hope you can join us again for more in-depth conversations on those topics that impact you and your family. Have a great rest of your Monday. We will see you tomorrow. Thanks for being with us tonight.